The history of Nigeria did not start in 1914. It definitely did not start in 1960. People have been existing. You study how they were existing before 1914. And you study how they're existing before 1916. And that will tell you who they are. All right? Before the invasion and this forceful feeding bottle governance system that they've given us. All right? So you study those things. And when people talk about democracies, you see, there is nothing democratic about Nigeria's democracy. Everything you see in a military dictatorship is at work here. Is there freedom of speech? Is there freedom to choose who your leaders are? Is there freedom to protest? Every other thing you fear in a military dictatorship happen in Nigeria. What then are you talking about democracy? Do you have press freedom in Nigeria? There are things I can't say on your platform. If I say it here, NBC will shut you guys down the next day. Do you have freedom of speech? Do you have a free media? So you don't have all the benefits of democracy, but you have all the limitations of democracy. Why do I say that? All the other things that are supposed to help democracy work are not in full. Everything democracy is supposed to give the citizens, it does not give them. But now the bottom line is that in a democratic system, it is difficult to achieve consensus. Look, Nigeria has been trying to change their... Do you know that no civilian president has altered the structure of Nigeria ever? Every major structural change in Nigeria, whether it's creation of additional states, whether it's change of constitution, has been always done by the military. And there's a reason. Because democracy, it is difficult, if not near impossible, to form a major consensus. So you are in a place where you are not enjoying the benefits of the so-called democracy. But you're also in a place where you don't have that kind of cohesive power to exert your will on the nation. Now, the 1999 Constitution is as a result of military exertion of power and influence. The creation of 36 states, exertion of military influence. Creation of 30 states, exertion of military influence. Dissolution of the 1963 Constitution. So if you leave Nigeria the way it is with this kind of democracy, we will be talking about constitutional review 60 years from now and we will still not do it. And so what I'm saying is that since it has been agreed that you are not practicing democracy, either in terms of what the citizens are supposed to benefit or what the systems that can help democracy. Okay, go and read Paul Collier's Wars, Guns and Votes. Paul Collier is, by the way, a seminal political economist. And he's one of the brilliant guys doing this thing. And they travel around from country to country. And he has said with his researchers that there are conditions that must be met before democracy can work for any nation. Those are one, literacy rate, and two, income of the people. What is franchise to someone in, for instance, Zamfara State? Has never look at the out of school children there. You saw the statistics that was just released.
Yes,
someone who has not been to school, has never been to any class in his life, don't know where his next meal is coming from, doesn't even have a television, let alone understanding what the economic policies of Buhari or economic policies of Tinubu, and then you tell him he has a franchise. A franchise that can be compromised with 500 naira. That's why you are shouting no vote buying, no vote buying. People you are telling don't sell your votes, their votes can be compromised with 2,000 and you tell them that you have a franchise. Franchise for what? If it can be compromised by 500 naira, it's not franchise. If it can be compromised by mere ethnic appellation, it is not franchise. If it can be compromised by mere religious appellation, it is not franchise. There were some people, the only thing you needed to tell them to get their votes is a miloko. Is that a franchise? So what I'm telling you that you are dealing with and calling democracy in Nigeria is not working. Now, compare that to what you have in UAE, where you could say that they are not enjoying dividends of democracy. Who is the Nigerian citizen that enjoys more dividends of a good country, more than what UAE is giving their citizen, more than what Qatar is giving their citizen, more than what Oman is giving their citizen? Close your eyes and imagine for a minute that Obasanjo is still the president of Nigeria till today. Close your eyes and see where Nigeria would have gotten to without subjecting him to periodic elections. Without subjecting him to periodic elections. And then close your eyes and imagine what Rwanda would have been if Paul Kagame was ousted out of office after 8 years and someone with maybe Buhari's kind of credentials overtakes the affairs of that nation just 8 years after their major civil war. And just so look at it. Even the stable democracies you have in Europe now, many of those stable democracies did not achieve stability until years and years of monarchy. It was years and years of monarchy that helped them to build democracy in Europe. Look at France. France used monarchy to achieve education. It was until they achieved education that educated people now started angling for democracy. Look at what is happening in China. China used monarchy to achieve a kind standard of living. Believe me, Chinese monarchy will not, or this their unitary system, will not last up to 40 years before it is pulled down by the people, because they have gotten the economic power and the literacy to achieve that. Look at what is happening in the Middle East. Believe me, their monarchy will not last up to 50 years, because the people now have money and they have intellect to argue. Look at what was achieved in Libya before people started pulling down Gaddafi. He gave them education, he gave them economic power, and they pulled him down. That is what happens. But Nigeria is not in a place where we can get economic power and education. So until you get that citizens to have economic power that you can no longer bribe them with 5,000, you get them to have education that you can no longer tell them that he is not a Miloko and he's a Miloko. And so democracy cannot work for you here until you meet those thresholds that researchers have said that these are the minimum threshold. And I'm telling you that monarchy, what you call monarchy, can help you achieve that threshold in such a short time. China would not have achieved this progress in 40 years if they have your kind of democracy. UAE would not have achieved what they achieved. Now go and tell me one third world country that achieved progress with what you call democracy in 40 years, and we'll come back to celebrate them.